There's nothing quite as jarring as the moment she reappears. No warning, no explanation, just a casual message or a sudden like on an old photo, as if months or years of silence never happened. One day, she was gone, leaving you questioning everything you're worth, your judgment, even your masculinity. The next, she's back, sliding into your life like a ghost slipping through a cracked door, expecting you to welcome her as if she never vanished. The average man falters in this moment. He spent so much time replaying memories, dissecting where things went wrong, clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd realize what she lost in return. And now that she's here, he caves. He replies too fast, forgives too icily. Lets her skip the hard conversations because the relief of her presence outweighs the pain of her absence. But that's the trap. Her return isn't about you, it's about her. She didn't come back because she finally saw your value. She came back because the world outside wasn't as kind as she thought it would be. Maybe the new guy disappointed her. Maybe the thrill of freedom wore off. Maybe she just got lonely. Whatever the reason, her return isn't an apology, it's a transaction. She's not offering loyalty or love. She's offering just enough attention to see if you'll still give her the emotional security she once took for granted. And if you let her in without hesitation, you teach her one dangerous lesson. She can leave whenever she wants and always have a soft place to land. This is where most men fail. They mistake her reappearance for a second chance when it's really just a test of your self-respect. If you respond like the same man she left, desperate and waiting, she'll know she still owns you. But if you stay silent, if you let her feel the weight of her own choices, she'll realize something has changed. You're no longer the man who orbits her absence. You've moved on. In that realization, not her return, is where true power lies. The coldest moment isn't when she leaves. It's when she comes back, pretending nothing happened. Betting that you're still weak enough to let her. Her return isn't about reconciliation. It's about convenience. When she walked away, she made a calculated decision. Her desires, her freedom, her curiosity were more important than your loyalty. She didn't just leave you. She rewrote history, convincing herself that whatever lay beyond you was worth the cost. But now, reality has set in. The excitement faded. The new options disappointed. The validation she chased turned hollow. Suddenly, the stability she once dismissed looks appealing again. She doesn't miss you. She misses what you provided. The emotional safety net. The unwavering attention. The comfort of knowing someone was always there, no matter how carelessly she treated them. That's why her return feels so effortless, so devoid of accountability. She's not coming back to make amends. She's coming back to refuel. You were always her backup plan, the reliable fallback when her other ventures failed. She's tested the waters. She's checking to see if you're still on standby. If you let her slip back in without resistance, you confirm her deepest assumption, that your loyalty has no conditions, that no matter how much she disrespects your absence, you'll still honor her presence. But here's what she doesn't realize. Your silence wasn't just absence. It was evolution. While she was gone, you weren't just waiting. You were rebuilding. The man she left isn't the same one she's trying to re-enter now. This is where you hold the line. Not with anger, not with games, but with quiet, unshakable standards. Let her explain herself. Let her sit with the discomfort of what she did. If she's serious, she'll show it through actions, not just words. But if all she offers is nostalgia and half-hearted gestures, then you have your answer. She didn't return for you. She returned for what you can do for her. And that's a role you've outgrown. The moment she reappears, it's not a reunion, it's an examination. She's not just testing the waters to see if you still care. She's probing to discover whether the power she once held over you still exists. Women, remember how you reacted in the past, how quickly you replied, how icily you forgave, how desperately you clung to every scrap of attention. Now she's back to see if time has changed that. If you rush to respond with the same eagerness as before, you've already failed. You confirm her suspicion that you never truly moved on, that her absence left you frozen in place, still waiting for her to dictate your worth. But if you remain unmoved, if your response is measured, your tone indifferent, your presence no longer something she can claim so icily. That's when the dynamic shifts. She expected to find the same man she left, one who would crumble at the slightest hint of her attention. Instead, she encounters someone who has outgrown her. That realization is a shock to her system. Suddenly, she's not the one in control. The script is flipped. This is where regret begins to creep in. Not the performative kind, not the tears, or the dramatic apologies, but the quiet, unsettling understanding that she underestimated you. Women respect strength, not desperation. If she senses that your silence wasn't just a pause, but a transformation, that you've built a life where she is no longer the focal point, something inside her recalibrates. She may not admit it, but she's forced to confront the truth. She assumed you would always be there. And now she's realizing you might not be. But here's the critical distinction. Her regret doesn't mean she's earned a second chance. Regret is selfish. It's not about you. It's about her discomfort with losing the security you once provided. The only way to pass this test is to refuse to play by her old rules. Let her sit with the consequences. Let her wonder. If she's truly changed, she proved it through consistency, not just words. If not, your silence will have already spoken for you. The silence you maintained in her absence wasn't just empty space, it was a mirror forcing her to confront what she walked away from. Most women assume men remain emotionally frozen in time, forever anchored to the past. But your quiet detachment, did something unexpected it? Made her question whether she still held the same power over you? That's why her return comes with subtle tests. A nostalgic comment, a late-night message, a sudden interest in your life. She's not just reaching out, she's probing for weakness, checking if your growth was real or just an act. This is where most men slip. They mistake her renewed attention for genuine change rather than what it really is. Reconnaissance. Mission. The moment you reward her minimal effort with full access to your emotions, you confirm her suspicion that you were never truly moving on, just waiting. But if you remain composed, if you respond without eagerness or bitterness, she's forced to face an uncomfortable truth. Your world kept turning without her. True power lies in observation, not reaction. Let her talk. Let her explain. But pay less attention to her words and more to her patterns. Does she respect your boundaries or try to bulldoze them? Does she acknowledge the past or gloss over it? Women reveal everything through consistency, not confession. The one who's truly reflected will demonstrate patience. One who's just lonely will grow frustrated when you don't immediately fall back into old rhythms. Your silence was never about punishment, it was protection. Now that she's back, that protection becomes discernment. You're no longer the man who needs her to feel complete. You're the gatekeeper, deciding if she deserves access to the life you've built in her absence. That shift alone from seeker to selector changes everything. She'll either rise to meet your standards or reveal she was never worthy of them. Either way, you win by refusing to surrender the ground you've gained. The man she left no longer exists, whether she deserves. To meet the new version is entirely up to you. The final test isn't about hurts, about you. By the time she resurfaces, you've already endured the hardest part, rebuilding yourself in the silence. Now comes the ultimate challenge. Will you trade the strength you've earned for the fleeting comfort of her return? Separates men who repeat history from those who redefine it. She may arrive with sweet words and familiar smiles, but your growth isn't measured by how you resisted her absence. It's proven by how you handle her presence. True power reveals itself in restraint, not the performative coldness of someone pretending to be unaffected, but the quiet certainty of a man who knows his worth isn't tied to her approval. When she speaks, you listen not with the desperation of someone starving for crumbs, but with the discernment of someone deciding whether her voice still deserves space in your life. Every interaction becomes a choice, not an obligation. That's the seismic shift she never anticipated. You're no longer auditioning for her attention. She's being evaluated for yours. This chapter isn't about winning her back, it's about something far more valuable, preserving the version of yourself that emerged in her absence. The man who learned to find validation within, who stopped begging for explanations, who realized closure comes from moving forward, not digging through the past. When she reappears, you're faced with a profound truth. The greatest act of self-respect isn't rejecting her, but being utterly indifferent to whether she stays or goes. Let her come. Let her talk. But never forget, you've already survived the worst of her leaving. Nothing she offers now is worth compromising the peace you've built. The strongest stance isn't resistance or eagerness, but the unshakable knowledge that you've outgrown the need for her validation. That's how true stories of growth and note, with dramatic confrontations, but with quiet realization that you were never the one who needed to change. You just needed to remember who you were before. She made you forget,